So first start with the such basic anatomy. You have to look for the annulus, the sinuses, the ascending aorta, arch, and the descending, as well as the abdominal aorta. Try to look at the each and every part of the aorta, uh, to what extent you can get from the transthoracic echo. Now come to discuss about the multimodality imaging in the aorta. First comes to the echocardiography. The transthoracic echo is the first line imaging modality for imaging the aorta. But for the visualization of the size, atheroma, mobility, dissection, and the thrombus or the tumor, you have to go for the transesophageal echocardiography, as well as if you have to guide the intervention procedure under the echo guidance, then T is the best modality. Now come to the CT and the CMR. The CT is the gold standard for the assessment of the size, atheroma, ulcer, dissection, and the tumor in the aorta, any part of the aorta. But if you have to look for the inflammation and the tissue characterization of the mass, then CMR is a better option. And last but not the least, I will like to discuss about the chest X-ray, often missed. But for the initial investigation, you can look for the mediastinal widening, calcification of the aorta on the just simple chest X-ray. Now, comparison between the various imaging modalities, the transthoracic echo is readily available. It is portable and has a very good temporal resolution as compared to the TE is at CT is a more better temporal resolution. But with the T, you have both the temporal and spatial resolution better than the transthoracic echocardiography. As compared to the echo, CT has a more better spatial resolution, but the decreased temporal resolution as compared to the echocardiography. Now, which views you have to take on the transthoracic echocardiography to look for the aorta? First is the parasternal long axis view, but always remember this view is not enough to visualize the aorta. You have to go one space up to see the part of the ascending aorta, then the suprasternal view for the arch and descending part of the aorta, and the subcostal view for the abdominal aorta. You can see the upper part of the descending aorta here, but you can miss the distal part of the descending aorta on the transthoracic echocardiography. This is the same slide showing the various views you can look for the aorta on the transthoracic echo. Now come to the aortic measurements. In which phase, at which level you have to measure the aortic annulus at the mid-systole from inner edge to the inner edge, just for the aortic annulus. All other aortic root measurements must be done at the end diastole, leading edge to the leading edge, must be perpendicular to that of the long axis of the aorta, and should be compared with the age, sex, and the body surface area. It is very important. Abnormal walls, if there is any pathology in the wall of the aorta, then it should be measured from outer edge to the outer edge. The accurate measurements of the aortic annulus before TAVI or the tower, the CT or the three-dimensional echo is a better modality as compared to the transthoracic echo. Now come to the various aortic disease that you have to imagine is the dilatation and aneurysms, atherosclerosis, acute aortic syndromes that include the dissection, intramural hematoma, and the penetrating ulcers, and the last coarctation of aorta. Now come to the case of the 40-year-old male with the bicuspid aortic valve. You can clearly see that there is a severe stenosis. The valve is very limited mobility. With a hugely aneurysmally dilated ascending aorta, it is around 56 millimeters. So in this case, you have to replace the aorta as well as the aortic valve. So it is very important to comment on the aorta if you have any aortic valve pathology, because it can be secondary dilated in association with that primary pathology. Another case of the bicuspid aortic valve, but the valve is moving normally, no significant stenosis, but only the aorta is aneurysmally dilated. So in the bicuspid valve, you can have the dilated aorta in the presence or the absence of the aortic stenosis. In the bicuspid and the hypertensive heart disease, the ascending aorta is the main part of the aorta that's dilated usually. Now comes to the 25-year-old female male with the Marfan syndrome, came to us with the NYHE3 symptoms. You can clearly see that here is a hugely dilated the root of the aorta at the sinuses with the clearly non-coapting aortic valve and with the severe regurgitation. So in the Marfan's, usually the root is dilated, whereas in the bicuspid ascending part most commonly dilated, but both can be dilated in both disease. Now comes to the cutoff for the dilatation. There is a controversies in the cutoffs in the EAC 2024. For the male in the ascending part of the aorta is the main part that we usually measure. In the male, the 40 millimeter and the female 34 millimeter is recommended in the EAC to comment on the dilatation, whereas in the ASC guidelines, the chamber quantification 2015, it is a 34 in the male and around 31 in the female. Why there is a controversy between two? Because at the BSA of the 2, ascending aorta of 40 may be normal, but with the BSA of 1.5, the ascending aorta more than 34 may be dilated. So the ascending thoracic aorta should be indexed if it is more than 22 millimeter per meter square, or descending aorta more than 16 millimeter per meter square is considered as a aortic dilatation. Now there is a consensus if you have the ascending aorta measurements less than 34, then it's normal. If it is more than 40, then it is abnormal dilated. But in between these numbers, you must try to get the index value to accurately diagnose the dilatation of the aorta. As aortic aneurysm is diagnosed as more than 45 millimeter, and risk of rupture increase as the aorta become aneurysmally dilated. Now the transesophageal echo views that you have to look for the aorta for the descending thoracic aorta. You can see the short axis at the 0 degree, and you have a long axis at the 90 degree. Whereas for the arch, it is exactly opposite. You have the long axis at the 0 degree and the short axis at the 90 degree. Now come to the CT and the CMR. The aortic root diameter is the gold. CT is the gold standard. You can measure from commissure to the opposite sinus, or you can measure from sinus to the sinus. But measuring from the sinus to sinus and from inner edge to inner edge on CT and MRI have shown the good correlation with the transthoracic echo. Now atherosclerosis on the aorta. T is the first line with high resolution and very reproducible. But on the T, you can have the near field distortion, not reliable for the plaque composition, and distal ascending aorta and proximal arch can be missed. There's some views about the atheroma on the T. Now come to the acute aortic syndromes. You can diagnose the aortic dissection, intramural hematoma, and the penetrating aortic ulcers on the cardiac imaging. Now come to the case of the 50-year-old male hypertensive with the severe chest pain. You can clearly see there is a dissection flap on the transthoracic aorta in the ascending aorta, starting from the root. There is no severe AR. Why there is no severe AR? Because the dissecting cusp is prolapsing through the valve and protecting from the aortic regurgitation. You can see the extent on the transthoracic echo as well. You can clearly see the dissection flap on the abdominal aorta and the dissection flap on the arch of the aorta extending up to the carotids. The transesophageal views of the same patient, the dissection flap on the ascending aorta is starting from the root. You can clearly see the true lumen and the false lumen on this view. This is the true lumen with the pulsatile flow, and this is the larger one, non-pulsatile flow is the false lumen on the transesophageal echo. Now another patient present to us with the chest pain, but there was no flap in the ascending aorta visualized. But you can clearly see that there is a flap-like membrane into the descending aorta. And on this view, which view is this? This is the subcostal view. As the liver is here, you can see clearly there is an aneurysmally dilated abdominal aorta with a very small true lumen. Remaining is a false lumen with the dissection. Now come to the another case, 70-year-old male hypertensive, history of aortic valve replacement followed by the PPM in 1998. Referred from outside where HRCT was done due to the low-grade fever, shortness of breath, and cough for 2 months that shows the aortic aneurysm. You can see the ascending aorta is hugely dilated and is distorting the normal anatomy of the heart. Here is the ascending aorta hugely dilated with dissection flap that is compressing the RVOT also, but there is not visualizing the abdominal aorta and the descending aorta. Now we proceed for the CT in this case. Very beautiful images, hugely dilated ascending aorta with a large dissection flap with the entry point near the aortic valve. You can clearly see there is a prostatic aortic valve as well as a PPM lead here. And this is a large false lumen with the thrombus. And this is the communication with the aortic root. This patient sent for the surgery, successful surgery, but unfortunately, later on died because of the hypoxic brain injury. The 51 male hypertensive non-compliant to medicine with abdominal pain radiating to the back. So initially there was a suspected of the acute pancreatitis of the acute abdomen. All workup was done, it turned out to be negative. So CT was planned to rule out any aortic pathology. On the transthoracic echo, there is no any pathology on the echo. Normally the dimension of the ascending aorta, no color abnormalities, no any abnormality in the descending part. Then we proceed for the CT scan. You can clearly see here is the dissection flap in the descending aorta starting just after the subclavian and extending up to the abdominal aorta. You can clearly see here. This is a CT moving image. The role of aorta as echo in aortic dissection: identify presence and extent of the dissection flap, identification of the true and the false lumen, the thrombus in the false lumen, try to get the entry point, mechanism and severity of the AR, and absence of the involvement of the side branches and the pericardial effusion. This is the aortic dissection. Usually true lumen is lesser than the false lumen. It has a systolic expansion and systolic antegrade flow. And from true to false lumen in systole, there must be a communication. Now come to the other case of a 70-year-old female with severe chest pain radiating to the back. The systolic blood pressure on arrival was 210 by 110. ECG and HS drop was done. They turned out to be negative. But initially it was suspected that it was hypertensive crisis, but patient was complaining of very severe chest pain. So we proceed for the echo to rule out the aortic dissection. You can clearly see there is a mildly dilated ascending aorta, no other significant abnormality either in the ascending or the arch or the abdominal aorta. So we proceed for the CT as pain was very severe and radiating to back to rule out other pathologies also.
2 minutes remaining.
You can clearly see there is a descending aortic dissection of the penetrating ulcer and the limited part of the descending aorta. There is no any abnormality in the ascending aorta as well as the abdominal aorta. You can clearly see. That's why this was missed on the echo, because this part not usually visualized on the echo. Another case of 51 male left arterial and PCI to circumflex one back done, febrile for 3 days after the PCI, blood CSO, vancomycin sensitive, Staph aureus. We come to Tabahar Institute. We do the echo to rule out the any infective endocarditis. You can clearly see there is a cystic space around the aorta with the color flow. So we proceed for the T. You can clearly see there is a pseudoaneurysm of the ascending aorta with the communication with the ascending aorta. On the CT, here is a large, huge pseudoaneurysm with the abscess formation. You can clearly see there is air-filled spaces with this large collection suggestive of the abscess formation. The pseudoaneurysm with the large abscess. Young men with uncontrolled hypertension, you can see the coarctation of aorta. This patient, another case of 65 male with a chest pain, CVD, planned for the CABG, diagnosed perioperatively with a hugely dilated lima, and later on diagnosed as the interrupted aortic arch that was missed on the echo basically. Now the coarctation of aorta. Now come to the other pathology. You can diagnose the periaortic root abscesses and collections. This patient with a fever after the AVR. And CMR for if you have to rule out that inflammation and any wall abnormality, aortitis, right? Now take home of my presentation is imaging of aorta and Transthoracic sometimes challenging, aortic aneurysm. If you have any doubt for any other pathology you missed on the transthoracic echo, always go for the TE and the CT if there is a high suspicion of the acute aortic syndrome. Thank you all.